Hi friends, welcome back to Parnika tutorials. In the last video, I have discussed what is cascading style sheets, why we should go for cascading style sheets, what are the various versions have been released for cascading style sheets. All these concepts I have discussed for you. I hope you have watched that video. If you did not watch that video or if you don't know those concepts, I request you to go back and watch that video and come back to this video. In this video, I want to discuss in detail about the inline CSS. So I sincerely request everyone to watch the complete video for better understanding. Cascading style sheets can be used to add styles to the HTML documents. That already we know because CSS is generally a styling language. Using the HTML, we can create the web page. But if you want to create a stylish content, then we can use the CSS. Now, if you want to add the styles to the HTML, we can do it in three ways. One is inline CSS, internal or embedded CSS, and external CSS. So, CSS can be added to HTML documents in three ways. Inline CSS contains the CSS property in the body section attached with the element. Now you know that in HTML we use various tags. For a particular tag, if you want to add a style, specified one, that you can do using the inline CSS. If you have multiple tags, for each tag if you want to add a different style, that you can do using the inline CSS. I hope you have got the point. Suppose let me tell you a simple example. In a HTML page, I have three H1 tags. For each H1 tag, if you want to add a different style, that you can do using the inline CSS. So the syntax how you can go it is, you can write style equal to, you can have the property and the value, semicolon, property, value, semicolon. Like that you can provide a set of property and value for this H1 selector. So I can say that here H1 is a selector. For this selector you are adding a specified style. Now whatever the style you have added for this H1 tag will not be applied to the other H1 tags. If you want to use some other styles, you can do it. So I can say inline CSS is used to style a specific HTML element. This CSS type is not really recommended. Why? Because if you have multiple H1 tags, for each H1 tag you need to write the style multiple times. Similarly, if you have another paragraph tag, for that one you need to have a style. Similarly, if you have another image tag, for that if you want to add a style, you need to do it. So each tag you need to add a style. So it takes a lot of time. So that's why this inline CSS is not really recommended, as each HTML tag needs to be stylized individually. Similarly, we have internal CSS also. This can be used when a single HTML document must be styled uniquely. You know that in a website we have multiple web pages. If you want to have a unique style for each web page, that you can do using the internal or embedded CSS. So for each web page, if you want to have a unique style, that we can do using the internal CSS. Suppose let's take that you have a website. In that website, if you have three pages, let's take that P1 page, okay, P2 and then P3. For P1 page, if you want to have a style, separate style, P2 separate style, okay, P3 page separate style, that you can do with the help of the internal. For all these three pages, if you want to have a same style, that you can do with the help of the external CSS. So I hope you have got what is inline CSS, internal and external CSS. In this video, I will discuss in detail about the inline CSS. In the next video, I will discuss about internal and external CSS. As I said earlier, inline CSS is used to style a specific HTML element. The problem with this inline CSS is for each HTML tag, you need to style individually. So that's why it is very difficult to manage your website with only inline CSS. But let's take that. If you are in a situation, you can only use the inline CSS. You don't have any access to the CSS files, or you need to apply styles for a single HTML element. In that case, you can use the inline CSS, because if you want to use the external CSS, you need to have an access to the CSS files. If you are not in a position to have an access to the CSS files and you want to apply individual style for each tag, in that scenario you can use the inline CSS. So earlier I told you the syntax for applying the inline CSS is you need to have the selector tag. Style is an attribute. For that attribute you need to provide a combination of property and the value. So you need to have the selector tag for which you need to apply the style, and then you need to use the attribute called style. For each attribute you have a combination of property and then value. If you want to apply another property and value, you need to separate with a semicolon, then you need to provide the property and then value, and then end with semicolon, end with double quotes, and close with the anchor tag. So this is the way you can use the inline CSS to a particular tag. Suppose let's take that if you want to apply the style to the h1 tag, then you need to write h1 is the selector tag, and then you need to use the style attribute, and then I want to use two properties. One is the color and then background color. So I will use the property as color, and its corresponding value I want to use it as a red, and then I will end with semicolon, and another property I need to use it as background underscore color, and for that one I will apply the value as yellow, end with semicolon, and then end with double quotes and end the anchor tag. So for this h1 tag you are applying the style for the color and the background color. So for color you are using the red, and background color it looks like an yellow. So whatever the style you are applying, this style is only applied to this h1 tag alone. Even in the web page, if you have multiple h1 tags, for all these h1 tags this style will not be applied. Only to this h1 tag only the style is applied. So that's why we say that this CSS inline will not be recommended, because you need to apply the tag for each HTML tag individually. Now let me discuss this inline CSS with an example. Let me go to the desktop, open the CSS, and then I will right click this one, new text document. I will write inline CSS .html, because any HTML it should be having an extension called .html. Then it will ask if you change the file name extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes, I want to change it. So let me click on the yes. Then let me right click on this one, open with Notepad++. Now let me close this one, and then let me write /doctype HTML, and let me close that one, and then let me open the HTML open tag and HTML close tag. Let me write in small letters, not a problem. HTML open tag and HTML close tag. And in HTML, you know that we will have two main tags. One is the head tag and the body tag. The head tag is useful for you to display the title, metadata, etc. Whereas the body tag is useful for you to display the content in the web page. So let me use the head tag, and then let me open the and let me close the head tag. Inside the head tag, I will use the title tag to keep the title for this web page. So I will write the title as Inline CSS example, and let me close the title tag. And now let me open the body tag and let me close the body tag. Whatever the content you want to display to the user in the web page, that you need to write inside the body tag. So now let me have a one tag, and let me apply the style. Style is equal to color value as red and end with semicolon. Then I will write background underscore color, and for that one I will use the color as yellow, value as yellow, and let me end with the semicolon, and let me close this one, and then let me write it. This is h1 tag. Okay, let me close the h1 tag. Let me open another h1 tag, and then let me display. This is also h1 tag. Okay, let me close this h1, and then let me open another h1 tag, Parnika tutorials. Okay, and let me close it. Even if you see that in this web page 3 h1 tags are there, however whatever the inline CSS you have applied will be applied to this first h1 tag only. It will not be applied to the remaining 2 h1 tags. If you want to observe, let me save this one and let me go to the CSS file. Let me right click this one, open with Firefox. Now you can observe this is h1 tag. You have 3 h1 tags, but the style has been applied to the first h1 tag. The second h1 tag and third h1 tag, the style whatever you have applied has not applied. Okay, if you want to apply another style to this second h1 tag, that you can do. Style is equal to, let me write color as black. Okay, and then semicolon, and then let me write background underscore color, not attachment, color, and then let me write it as blue. We'll see on top of the black, blue will be visible. No, I don't think so. Let me write it as white. Okay, and let me save this one, go to the browser, let me refresh it. Okay, what is the style we have applied? Background is white, right? Already the background is white and the color is already black, so that's why it is not looking great. Let me write here as red. Okay, and now instead of white I will apply here as some black. Let's see how the color combination looks like. Let me refresh this one. Now you can observe. See, the background color is looking in black and the font is displayed in the red color. So this h1 tag and this one h1 tag having the two different styles. Similarly, if you have multiple h1 tags in the same web page, if you want to apply same style, you need to copy it several times. If you want to apply different styles, that also you can do. But the problem is that for each HTML tag, you need to apply the style individually. Let me discuss with one more example. I will use some P tag, which is a paragraph tag. I will write the style is equal to, let me write color as white, semicolon, and then I will write padding as 30 pixel, semicolon, and then let me write YouTube channel. Okay, let me end the paragraph tag. Let me copy this one paragraph tag and let me paste it. Okay, for this one I will not apply the style, and here write best channel for CSC courses. Now let me save this one, Let me go to the browser and let me refresh it. Now you can see best channel for CSC courses has been displayed. Okay, now what happened to this one? Color you have written white, right? So that is the problem. Okay, let me use the yellow. So whenever you are applying the colors, right, you need to be little bit worried. See, YouTube channel, it is looking in yellow color. Okay, I hope you have understood. So like this, we can use the inline CSS for each tag a specified style uniquely. Now let me discuss the advantages and disadvantages of inline CSS. First, let me discuss about the advantages. You can easily and quickly insert CSS rules to an HTML tag. So for an individual tag, you can apply the style. For the tag itself, you can use the style attribute and then you can provide the property and value. So that's why I can say it is very quick and you can insert the style very easily. When it comes to the external CSS, you need to create a separate CSS file, and that CSS file you need to use it to apply the style for multiple web pages. But when it comes to the inline CSS, you no need to create a separate CSS file. With the same HTML page itself, you can apply the style for each tag. So you don't need to create and upload a separate document as in case of external CSS. Now let me discuss the disadvantages of inline CSS. Adding CSS rule for every HTML tag is time consuming and makes your HTML structure very messy. Because if for every tag you need to apply the style individually, so adding the rules or the styles for each HTML tag is a time consuming. It will take a lot of time for the developer to create a single web page, and also the code looks a little bit clumsy. That is the first disadvantage. Coming to the second disadvantage, styling multiple elements can affect your page size and download time, because when you are applying several styles for each tag, then it will take a lot of time to download your web page. So that will create issue for the users in the real time. Whenever user clicks on a particular web page, he expect that the page should be loaded very quickly. But if you are creating the styles using the inline CSS, it may affect the download time for a particular web page. So I hope you have understood about inline CSS, how to create an inline CSS, what are the advantages and disadvantages. If you still have any doubts related to this concept, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts as early as possible. Thank you for watching the complete video. Have a nice day.